Hi everyone, welcome to my channel and welcome back. I'm Jeannie and it is officially October, which is crazy to think about. I don't know where the year went, but since it's October, I am going full force into Halloween without the guilt. But honestly, I didn't feel guilty about starting Halloween manis last month because they're my favorite manis to do and I had so much fun doing them. But today's mani is going to be more of a Falloween mani. So fall plus Halloween equals Falloween if you've seen that before. So these three colors that I'm using from Mani Boss Dip Powder, they're more of like fall colors, but I am going to turn this into a Halloween mani, so it's going to be like a little bit of both and super fun to do. And I am going to incorporate a Waterslide decal to make the mani Halloween, so I do need a light color base, so that's what I'm going to use Piña Colada for. And the decal company I'm using today is new to me, so I've seen a lot of people use Bright Spot Nails, but I haven't tried her decals before. I placed an order maybe like last month. It was a little bit ago and I haven't used her decals yet, so I'm super excited to finally give them a try because I'm still looking for like my favorite decal company, because the one I used to use all the time that was always my favorite no longer sells. So I'm still trying to find like who has what exactly I'm looking for. So Piña Colada is more of like an off-white color, but I decided to use it because it glows and I really wanted a glow underneath the Waterslide decal. So before I used it, I want to make sure that I'm giving it a good stir because the glow pigments are heavier and they tend to sink. So I want to make sure that I'm stirring that back into the powder so that I can get the maximum amount of glow. So this is only going to go on my middle finger because that's going to be where the decal is. And because it's a sheerer color, I'm going to actually end up doing 3 dips of this color and then I will do the decal on top. So I'm not going to cap and clear or anything like that because even, well, it doesn't look splotchy, but even if it did look splotchy from me buffing on top of it, it wouldn't really matter as much because I'm putting the decal on top of it. And typically I usually use a white color as my base for the decals, but I really wanted something to glow and I wanted to use my Mani Boss dip powder, so I think it turned out well. Like, I don't think you can notice that I used an off-white rather than a white. It's just that the white, the lighter your background is for your decals, the more it pops. But I think because these are darker decals, you can't really tell anyway that I didn't use like a bright white. And you might be able to tell as you're watching that this is a super easy color to use. So everything went on super smooth. There wasn't any chalkiness or splotchiness. It was a very thin powder. So even doing 3 dips of this and then doing the Waterslide decal on top, I didn't have any bulkiness to my nail. So this may definitely be my like new go-to when I want a white glow. I absolutely love glow nails anytime, anywhere. If I can make my nails glow, I will. So anytime there's a glow dip powder, I'm really drawn to that and I'm probably more likely to buy it. But I think especially fun about glow nails is when you do it underneath your nail art, whether it's hand-drawn, stickers, Waterslide decals, nail art stamping. I just love how it makes it pop a little bit more. And especially when you get enough of a color contrast to where you can see that design through your glow. It's so fun. It's a little bit creepy, but it's so fun. I forgot to take a video of my glow at the end of this video, but I do have a picture, so I'll pop that in at the end if you want to see what the glow looks like with my Waterslide decal. So I'm going to go ahead and do the 3rd dip off camera because I know it's a little bit repetitive and I want to get to the other colors. But before I get into the other colors, I'm going to go ahead and activate my Piña Colada nail just to get that done and out of the way because I do have a glitter, there's some shimmers, and as well as they're darker colors, so I don't want to stain this lighter nail. So the next color I'm going to use after I have my nail activated is Inferno. So this is an orange shimmer. It is so pretty. It's like a little bit bright but a little bit deep at the same time. I think this is from a previous Halloween collection, maybe like a year or 2 ago, but it is such a fun color. So when I was planning out this mani, I knew the colors I wanted to use, but I wasn't sure what I wanted to do on my thumb. So I ended up doing like my other 3 fingers, and then I decided like once I get those dipped out, then I would decide what to do on my thumb based on what I was feeling. But I ended up actually, if you saw the thumbnail, you saw it's not Inferno, so I ended up using the glitter, which is Voodoo Vixen, I'm wanting to say. I don't know. It was a while ago that they did this, so I'll get to the glitter once I get to it, but it was really hard to decide because I really love all these colors. This wasn't fully opaque in one dip, but I normally do 2 dips at least anyway, so it wasn't really a big deal to me. And it was a thinner dip as well, so I like that I didn't have like super bulky nails after I was done. So I just went ahead and dusted off the excess powder on my first layer. So now I'm going in with layer 2. Oh, and by the way, I am using my Mani Boss dip liquids as well. I've been using them a lot lately. I've been really loving them. I kind of like rotate some brands of my favorite dip liquids a lot. And so I just go through phases of like which ones I use more than others, but I do have like my set of favorites that I always use and rotate in between, which you've probably seen a lot in my videos because I'm usually always using the same liquids unless like I'm trying out a new brand. I can't believe I actually got the name right because I am the worst at remembering names. So I let you watch me do Pumpkin Kisses, so now we're going to move on to Voodoo Vixen. So this is a bit of a chunkier glitter, but it is so easy to use. And oh my gosh, this one blew me away when I dipped it because I haven't swatched it yet. So I was just kind of judging based on like pictures that I saw in the Facebook group and what I saw on the website. And this one, it has my heart, which is why it ended up on my thumb because I wanted it on as many fingers as possible. So I feel like I don't know if it's a black base or like a dark gray base. I feel like it's a dark gray base of like fine glitters, but then it has some hex glitters in there. It's not super chunky. It's not like packed full of hex glitters, but it's got like silver holographic and black and orange. And I feel like the orange really goes well with Inferno, but oh my gosh, it is so pretty. I love this glitter so much, and I can't believe I haven't used it before. I don't know. I can't remember when I got this or if this was one of the colors that was sent to me when I joined the team, but either way, I am obsessed. So I'll leave that link down below in the description if you want this glitter because it is even prettier in person, trust me. And this is so easy to use. I didn't even do my normal chunky glitter method that I normally do. So normally for chunkier glitters, with they like have like larger hex pieces in there or shapes or whatever, I'll pour over for my first layer and then for my second layer, I'll lay my finger flat in. But for this one, because it's not super chunky, I just did my normal dipping. So for my second layer, I sort of lay my finger flat in as much as I can. You know, it's really hard to do that in a jar, but no issues. I feel like if you're intimidated by chunky glitters, this one is a good one to use because they laid flat. It's not super chunky. It's not packed full of those larger pieces. So it's a lot easier to work with. But because I was so in love with these halo glitters and all the bling, I end up actually doing just a little bit of glitter placement just because I wanted a couple more of those larger pieces. So I'll show you that process as well. I'm going to give my ring finger a little extra dry time just because I don't want to dust off the powder that I already have on there. Because I don't know, for whatever reason, I find whenever I have chunkier glitters, the dip base takes a little bit slower to dry. And maybe it's just because it has less of like the finer, whether it's clear or colored acrylic powder. So it's less to absorb, and maybe that's why. But I do want to give it a little extra time because I don't want to dust that off. So I'm going to go ahead and do one dip of my thumb first. And then once I finish with my thumb, the one dip, then I think it'll be dry enough that I'm ready to dust off the excess powder on my ring finger and then do that placement because I don't want to place dip base on the excess glitter and powder. I want to dust that off first. So in order to make it easier to pick up the glitters, I just poured a little bit of that glitter into my Controlled Chaos. This is from Chaos Concept, so it's that flexible material. I absolutely love it, and it's easier like to pick up the glitters on like that flat surface. So I just shook it a little bit just to make it like one thin layer of that glitter. I'm applying an even layer of dip base to my entire nail. I dipped my precision tool into that wet dip base, and then I'm going to find the glitter pieces that I want to pick up, and then I'm just going to pick them up with my precision tool and then place them wherever I want to on the nail. So I kind of want just like a good distribution of the colors. Like I don't want like a patch of all orange glitters in one spot. So I'm just going to do some of the bigger hex glitter pieces and then some of the smaller just to kind of create that balance. It's totally personal preference. You can do as much or as little as you want, or you can do none at all depending on if you're happy with the way it looks in the two dips. You don't have to do the glitter placement, and that's what I love about it is you can kind of customize it the way you want it. But I just love like that hollow sparkle, so of course I had to add more. So once I finish with that placement, I'm going to go ahead and dust off the excess powder on my thumb because at this point it's dry enough. And I did leave that real time of my glitter placement, so you saw that I had plenty of dry time on the dip base to do that placement. And then look, this is how easy the Controlled Chaos is to use because it's that 3D printed material. And so like it's got that little spout, so I just fold it in half, dump my glitters or powder or whatever it is back in the jar, give it a swipe with the dust brush, and it's completely clean. It's that easy to use. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and do my second dip on my thumb, and then I'm going to do a little bit of glitter placement as well, but I'm going to leave that out because I really want to get to the decals because I want to give you my opinions on this company and the decals. Once I finish all my dips, I'm going to go ahead and cap my nails in clear, and I'm going to do all but my middle finger because my middle finger is already activated. I'm not going to worry about that. I don't really have to worry so much about the shimmers, but I like to cap in clear as a normal habit. But the glitters, because I'm going to do a little bit of file and buffing, you definitely want to make sure that you're capping in clear or protecting your glitters somehow because most color glitters are silver in the middle. So if you don't protect it before you file on top of it, you're going to file through that colored glitter and then you're going to see the silver. So I want to go ahead and make sure that I'm protecting everything, capping everything in clear. If you're doing gel method, meaning you're using gel base instead of dip base to do your nails, I wouldn't suggest capping in clear because generally clear does not mix well with gel base. So you could always just do a layer of gel base and then a layer of gel top coat, and then file and buff on top of that. Or you could use, if you have a super chunky glitter, you could use a clear builder gel. So there are other things to use, but you definitely want to make sure that you're protecting your glitter if you're going to file and buff. If you're not going to worry about filing and buffing, then you don't necessarily have to cap and clear, but you know, just my 2 cents, I guess. And whenever I'm capping and clear, I always like to make sure that I'm using a little extra dip base. So I do more dip base than I would normally do in a regular dipping process. Obviously not too much. I don't want to flood my cuticles or my skin, but I want to do a little extra because I want to make sure that clear has something to fully absorb into. And especially when I have chunkier glitters, I want to make sure that it's able to seep in between like all those nooks and crannies of the glitters. So after I dip into the clear, I also like to press down just to make sure the clear is getting into like all those crevices, because you want to make sure that your surface is as smooth as possible, because if you have like those nooks and crannies, it's going to look uneven, and then you could also once again risk filing through some of those glitters. I went ahead and filed and buffed off camera, so here's how the mani's looking, but these powders were super smooth, super thin, so it was really just a little bit of filing to clean up the shape and then just some light buffing on top. So now we're going to get into these Waterslide decals. So like I said, this is my first time trying Bright Spot nails. I usually get decals that are full nail decals that are like at least like in the little bit of a shape of a nail. I'm not used to like full rectangles. So I just went ahead and like cut out the whole rectangle, and then I'm going to figure it out as I go. So I went ahead and cut that out, and then I need something tacky for the Waterslide decal to adhere to because it's not going to stick to a dry dip powder nail. So I am using my Mani Boss 2-in-1 gel base and top coat. Now, normally if I'm using like a regular gel top base, I can cure it for 30 seconds. It's still tacky. But with this gel base and top coat combo, I have to flash cure it because I want to make sure that it does have that tacky layer. So I'm just applying a really thin, even layer to my nail. And then once I've got that down, I'm going to flash cure it. I think I did it for about 15-20 seconds. And so now I'm placing the decal in a little bit of water. And I think I leave it in there for about 15-20 seconds. I just want to make sure that it's wet enough to where the backing is going to slide right off. But it did curl up a little bit. So I'm just making sure all of it gets wet. But as it gets wetter, it starts flattening out. But I do eventually start to see like it starts peeling from the backing. So I know it's ready to take out of the water. You really generally, at least for the thinner decals, don't need a lot of time to soak it. So once I feel like that's enough time, I'm just going to blot it on the paper towel to dry it out a little bit. And I have to say, so these decals, they're not super thick, but they're not super thin either. Like, normally I like to work with thinner decals. I mean, it wasn't so thick that it created bulk on my nails, but I'll get to it after I apply the decal. But it was a little difficult to clean up like I normally like to do. But anyway, so I picked up the decal with my jelly stamper, dabbed off the excess water from the decal, and then I'm trying to figure out like how I want to place it on my nail, because I have to decide what part of the design I want to cut off, because my nails are shorter and I don't have room for the whole design, which makes me so sad. Like, I felt like I couldn't cut off the pumpkin face because that's what the cat's sitting on top of, but the little witch hat was so cute, but the witch hat had to go. But you know, I guess, I don't know if she makes like different sizes, but unfortunately I had to cut off the design. It's still cute anyway. But for that extra decal, here's where I run into issues with the thickness. Not that it's thick, it's a thin decal, but when I try to clean it up, I've got my brush. This is a cleanup brush from Lights Lacquer, and I've got a little bit of acetone. With the really thin decals, you can just dab it lightly with acetone and it just melts right away. This one was not melting. It took quite a while, and I don't show you the whole thing because it took like me working and reworking and redabbing, and like it didn't just like automatically melt, which I guess is a good thing because you don't remove too much decal. But I prefer even thinner decals. I mean, these were pretty. They weren't super thick, like they were still easy to work with, but I wish they were a little bit thinner. That's what I have to say about it. I still love these decals, but I don't think these are it. I do want thinner. So if you have any recommendations for thinner decals, please let me know. As always, I'm going to finish off my mani by rehydrating my cuticles with my Scales of Mermaid cuticle oil. This is a previous limited edition scent, What's Gourd. I think it's a really great fall scent, and I think it matches my mani really well. And I should mention this, I did it off camera, but after I cure my gel top coat, even though it's a non-wipe, I always like to take some isopropyl alcohol and a lint-free wipe and wipe down my nails because there could be leftover residue like chemicals, and I don't want to end up rubbing it around my skin when I'm rubbing in my cuticle oil. So just a little extra precaution I like to take. So that pretty much wraps up today's video. I hope this video was helpful. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, I'd appreciate it if you gave this video a thumbs up. It lets me know to continue creating content like this. And it also helps YouTube recommend me to others, which helps grow my channel. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing. I upload content every Monday and Thursday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. As always, I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.